is me again, Maruby, and welcome back to this channel. So, today we're going to have a new lesson, but this is not related to English 9, okay, since we just ended the school year and now most of you are on vacation. But this is nonetheless a language lesson. This is actually a response because I have received one message that asked me to make a video out of this topic. However, I misunderstood what she was really asking for. And when I read her message again, dun ko lang na-realize that I was wrong. But anyway, since I have prepared the material, I decided to just make a video out of it. And also, I would like to check out my new webcam because before, whenever I make videos, I'm only using my phone's camera. I'm using the JoyCam app. And since I've decided that I need my phone whenever I have to conduct online classes or hold online meetings, I decided to buy a webcam that is, of course, budget friendly. And here it is. So you could see the difference, and it's much better compared to me using the built-in camera of my laptop. So this is the HIKVision 1080 webcam, and it works pretty well for me. Okay, and also I have a new headset because I was using a regular headphone before, and this time medyo nag-improve na siya. I'm using HP H150, so I hope this works. I hope this new equipments work better so that I can create better videos. And yeah, so if you're interested with the things that I bought, I could give you the link on the description box. So now let's go to our lesson. So today we're going to talk about diagramming sentences. Diagramming sentences might seem complicated at first, but you'll quickly get the hang of it. So sentence diagramming enables you to visually understand the function of every part of a sentence, which helps you construct better sentences. Before we diagram sentences, it is important that you already know the different parts of speech. So understanding what nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, conjunctions, prepositions, etc., they are all essential to sentence diagramming. So if you feel that you need to have some refresher or you need to review these parts of speech, go ahead, because in this video, I will not be able to explain in detail the different parts of speech, so you should know them by now. Now, there are 4 types of lines you'll need for sentence diagramming. So you'll need horizontal lines to write subjects, verbs, and objects, vertical lines to separate subjects, verbs, and objects, diagonal lines to write modifiers, prepositions, and articles, and dotted vertical or diagonal lines for conjunctions. So I hope you're ready because it's time to start diagramming sentences. We'll start from the very beginning, so don't worry. I'll help you learn everything you need to know. I got you. So here we go. Let's start with the very basic. Okay, diagramming simple sentences. The simplest sentences consist of a subject and a verb. Someone or something and the being or doing something. Someone does something or something is in a state of being or doing something. Okay, so the subject tells us whom or what the sentence is about. And verbs tells us what the subject is or does. Now, the simplest sentence diagram consists of 2 lines. So you have to draw a horizontal line, then cut in the center by a vertical line. The subject goes on the left side and the verb goes on the right side. So this is something that you always have to remember. Okay, so when we have sentences that we need to diagram, you always have to go and look for the subject and the verb. The subject always goes on the left side and the verb goes on the right side. So, for example, Lisa sings. That's our sentence. So we have the subject Lisa and we place it on the left side, and we have the verb sings which we place on the right side. So again, subject on the left, verb on the right. Another example is Gamin dances. So again, Gamin being the subject is placed on the left, and dances being the verb is placed on the right. Now let's try this. Flowers grow. How are you going to diagram this sentence? I'll give you 5 seconds. So we have the subject flowers. That should be placed on the left side, and we have the verb grow, which should be placed on the right side. Now, how about this sentence? Birds were chirping. Which is the subject and which is the verb? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. Okay, let's see. So our subject is, of course, the birds. So we place it on the left side. And our verb is bird chirping. So were is a helping verb, right? Including is, are, was, were, has, have. So helping verbs, remember, are part of the verb. So helping verbs and main verbs are written together on the right side of the vertical line. Okay? Now, how about diagramming questions? So when we encounter questions, we just have to remember the same thing, the same concept. The subject is on the left and verb is on the right. So meaning to say, you have to be able to identify which is the subject in the question and which is the verb. So let's take a look at one example. For example, the sentence, have you been cooking? So have you been cooking is the question. Now you have to identify which is the subject and which is the verb. Okay, so here the subject is you and the verb is have been cooking. Okay, did you notice that all of the sentences that we diagrammed earlier began with the subject? Well, question or interrogative sentences are typically written in a different order. So if you have a hard time finding the subject of a question, you just have to reorder the question into a statement. So let's say, for example, have you been cooking? So you just have to turn this question into a statement. You have been cooking. And then because of that, once you turn it into a statement, it's easier for you to identify which is the subject and which is the verb. Okay. Again, that's just in case that you find it hard to identify the subject in an interrogative sentence. Okay. And basically it's the same. So you being the subject is on the left and have been cooking being the verb is on the right. Okay. Another example, may I run? May I run? So I is the subject and is placed on the left side, and may run is the verb which is placed on the right side. Let's try this question. Has Lucy been reading? So identify the subject and identify the verb. I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, let's see. So our subject is Lucy, and of course our verb is has been reading, right? Another one. Are they coming? How will you diagram this question? 5 seconds. So, which is the subject? Our subject in the sentence is they, and our verb is are coming. So that's how our diagram will look like. All right? Now, how about diagramming sentences with modifiers, with adjectives and adverbs? So remember, adjectives are words that describe nouns and pronouns. Adverbs are words that describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs, right? So let's start with an adjective first. So aside from a subject and a verb, we now have an adjective. Okay? For example, the yellow ducks quack. Can you identify the adjective in this sentence? Yes, that's right. It's yellow, right? And yellow describe the noun ducks. And ducks is actually our subject. So it's the same thing. Subject is placed on the left and verb is placed on the right. Now we have to form a diagonal or a slant line at the bottom of the subject and place the article and the modifier or the adjective below the subject. Okay, below the noun that it describes. So looking at this example, we could see that ducks is our subject, and then we have the article the below, and of course the modifier, the adjective yellow, below the word ducks. And of course on the right side is the verb. So modifiers are placed below the noun being modified by a diagonal or a slant line. Okay? So you have to place the adjectives on a slanted line under the word they describe. Let's take a look at another example. The green box fell. Which is the adjective in this sentence? Yes, the word green, right? So again, we place the adjectives on a slanted line under the word they describe. So again, let's place the subject on the left side and let's place the verb on the right side. Our subject is box and the verb is fell. Now let's place the article the below and the adjective green below the word box because green describes the box, right? Okay, another example. Two fat birds chirped. Okay, so again, first identify the subject and identify the verb. Our subject is birds and our verb is chirped. And we have two adjectives, two and fat. So we have to place these adjectives on a slanted line under the subject or the noun birds because two and fat describes the word birds, right? Let's try this one. The cute baby has been laughing. How will you diagram this sentence? I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, let's see. So again, you just have to first identify the subject and the verb. Our subject is the baby and our verb is has been laughing. So the is the article, should be placed below the subject, and we have the adjective cute. And cute describes the baby. So we have to place the word cute, the adjective cute, on a slanted line under the word baby. Okay? Now, how about adverbs? Okay? So again, adverbs are words that describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. So if we have an adverb, then we have to place it on a slanted line under the word that they describe. Okay? So if in case that we have an adjective and we have an adverb that describes that adjective, so we have to place that adverb on another slanted line beneath or below the adjective. Or if we have a verb that is being described by another adverb and that adverb is being described by another adverb, then we have to place it beneath the adverb. I know it sounds so confusing, but it will make sense later on. Let's take a look at some sentences, right? Walter ran very quickly. So in the sentence, again, we should start with the basics. What is the subject and what is the verb? So the subject here is Walter and the verb is ran. Now, we have the words very quickly. So very quickly is actually our adverbs. Why? It answers or describes how Walter runs. So how did Walter run? Quickly, right? Quickly. So that is an adverb describing the verb ran. So since it is an adverb, we have to place it on a slanted line. But Walter did not just run quickly. He ran very quickly. There's a certain degree. So this is another adverb. So very is another adverb that describes the adverb quickly, the adverb of manner. Okay? Again, this is the reason why you should know or you should be familiar with the different parts of speech, the different types of adjectives, adverbs, etc. Okay? So we see that very is an adverb of degree, right? Describing the adverb of manner quickly. So we place very under the word quickly using another slanted line. Okay, why? Because very describes the adverb quickly, and quickly describes the verb ran. Okay, so you just have to place it under the word it described. Another example. Thomas Edison worked diligently. This one is easier. Okay, again, identify the subject and then the verb. Our subject is Thomas Edison. Place it on the left. Our verb is worked. Now, how did Thomas Edison work? Diligently. So again, this is an adverb describing a verb. It describes the verb work. So we just have to place, okay, the adverb on a slanted line under the word that it described. Okay, just like this one. Let's try this. Very politely, Henry bowed. How are we going to diagram this sentence? I'll give you 5 seconds. I know the time is too fast, but I know you can imagine how you'll diagram it. So again, identify our subject and verb. Our subject is Henry, and our verb is bowed. Now, how did Henry bowed? Okay, politely. But not just politely, but very politely. Okay, so politely describes the verb bowed. So we have to place politely under the word bowed, and under the word politely, we have to place the word very. Okay, so again, very describes the adverb politely, and politely describes the verb bowed. Last one. My very favorite aunt sings beautifully. Again, my very favorite aunt sings beautifully. How are you going to diagram this sentence? Okay. So if the sentence seems overwhelming, it's longer than the basic sentence, you just always look for the subject and the verb first, okay? So the subject is the aunt and the verb is sings. Now we have the pronoun my, pertaining to, of course, the aunt or the subject. And then we have the adjective favorite, okay? Because we're not just talking about any other aunt, but it's our very favorite aunt. So favorite is an adjective. So we have to place it under the word aunt because favorite describes the word aunt. And then we have very. So very is an adverb describing the adjective favorite. So we have to place it under the word favorite. And then the aunt sings beautifully, right? So sings is the verb and it is being described by the adverb beautifully. Okay, so we have to place the adverb beautifully under the verb sings. Now, this time we're going to add a prepositional phrase. Okay, so it's important that you understand what a preposition is. Preposition is a word and almost always a very small, very common word. It shows direction. Let's say the word to. It shows location like at, on, in. It shows time like by, or it introduces an object like of. Okay, so prepositions are typically followed by an object, which can be a noun phrase, or a pronoun. So there are many prepositions out there: at, by, for, from, in, of, on, to, with, the, above, about, beside, between, except, inside, a lot. So you should know them first, okay? Now, when we say prepositional phrases, it's a group of words that begins with a preposition Now, the whole phrase, okay, the whole prepositional phrase can function as either an adjective or an adverb. Okay? For example, the bluebirds in the trees were chirping. Okay? So the bluebirds in the trees were chirping. So our basic diagram is that subject on the left, verb on the right, right? So our subject is birds and our verb is were chirping. The is an article, so we have to place it under the subject. And of course, we have the word blue, which describes the birds. So we also have to place it on a slanted line under the word birds because that's the word it describes. Okay. However, we're not just talking about bluebirds, but we're talking about bluebirds in the trees. Okay. So our prepositional phrase here is in the trees. Okay. And our preposition here is, that's correct, it's in, right? So we have to extend another slanted line and place, okay, the preposition in. And then we have to make another horizontal line and place the noun. Our noun is trees. And then underneath the noun, the trees, we have to place the article the. Let's go for another example so that it will be easier for you to understand. The flowers in the garden are growing. Okay, so the flowers in the garden are growing. Again, look for the subject, look for the verb. Subject on the left, verb on the right. Flowers is our subject, it's on the left, and our verb is are growing. Now, we have the. So we have the article the, we have to put it on a slanted line, okay, below the subject. And we have the prepositional phrase in the garden. Okay, so in the garden, the flowers are in the garden. Okay, so in is our preposition. So we have to put the preposition on a slanted line under the noun that it modifies. So in this case, it modifies the flowers because what's in the garden? It's the flowers, right? So put the preposition on a slanted line. That's in this case, we put in, okay, below flower before the subject flower, below the subject flower because that's what it describes. And then we put the object of the preposition on a horizontal line after it. So the object of the preposition here is the word garden. And we have to, of course, we should not forget the article the, and we should put it on another slanted line. Okay, so just remember, if there's a prepositional phrase, put the preposition on a slanted line under the noun that it modifies. So in this case, in the sentence, it's the subject. And then put the object of the preposition on a horizontal line after it. Okay? Let's try this. The rock on the cliff fell. Okay, so again, identify the subject and the verb first. Our subject is rock and our verb is fell. Now, let's place the article, okay, under the subject using a slanted line. And then we have the prepositional phrase on the cliff. So on the cliff describes what? Our subject, right? Because on the cliff, it's the rock. So because of that, it should be placed under the subject. And now we put the preposition on a slanted line under the word rock because it describes the word rock. And then we put our object of preposition. In this case, our object of preposition is cliff on a horizontal line after our preposition. And then we place the article the on a slanted line again. Okay? So let's try another one. Did the green box with the blue lid fall? So this is a question, but we just have to follow the same principle. So how are you going to diagram this? Identify the subject, identify the verb. the modifiers, the prepositional phrase. All right, so let's see. Our subject is the box, and our verb is did fall, right? So let's place the article the under the subject. Then, of course, we have the modifier. We have an adjective, green. So again, a modifier should be placed on a slanted line under the word it modifies. And then we have the prepositional phrase with the blue lid. With the blue lid. So with is our preposition here. So we have to place our preposition on a slanted line, and our object of the preposition is lid, right? So we have to place it on a horizontal line. Now we have an article the, which should be placed under the object of preposition, and we have the word blue. The modifier blue describes the word lid, so we have to place it underneath it. Okay, so we have to place another slanted line, okay, for the word blue, because it describes our object of preposition, which is lid. So that's it. We just have to continue following the same principle. Okay? So what about if the prepositional phrase act as an adverb? For example, in this sentence, the rabbit hopped to the pretty garden. So we have the subject and the verb. Our subject is the rabbit. Our verb is hopped. Now, the rabbit hopped through the pretty garden. Through the pretty garden is our prepositional phrase, and it describes, okay, the word hop, our verb hop. So we have to follow the same principle. Once again, we have to put the preposition on a slanted line under the word it modifies. In this case, the preposition is through. We have to place on the horizontal line the object of the preposition, and the object of the preposition in this case is the garden, the word garden. And then we have to place the modifiers, if there are modifiers, for the object of the preposition. In this case, we have the article the and the modifier or the adjective pretty. Now let's take a look at more examples, right? So we have Lucy has been reading at the library. Okay, so again, decide which is the subject and which is your verb. Lucy is our subject, has been reading is our verb. Now Lucy has been reading where? At the library. So at the library is our prepositional phrase that describes the verb, has been reading. So again, put the preposition on a slanted line under the word it modifies, under the verb in this case, and our preposition is at, and then put the object of the preposition on a horizontal line. Our object of preposition is the library, and then we have an article, so we just have to put it under the word library or under the object of the preposition. Okay? So let's have this example. Let's try this. I ran around the absolutely beautiful city. How are you going to diagram this sentence? So which is the subject? I. And which is your verb? Ran, right? So the rest of the sentence, okay, around the absolutely beautiful city is your prepositional phrase. And it describes your verb ran. Okay, where did you run? Around the absolutely beautiful city. So we have, okay, again, the preposition, put it on a slanted line under the word it describes. So our preposition is around. And then our object of preposition is the word city, right? So put it on the horizontal line. The words absolutely beautiful are all modifiers. So we place the, of course, as an article, we place it under the object of the preposition. Then we have the adjective beautiful, right? So we place it again under the word it modifies. In this case, it modifies the word city, our object of the preposition. That's why it's under the word city. And then absolutely is an adverb which describes the word beautiful. So because of that, it has to be another slanted line beneath or near the adjective beautiful. Okay? The same principle. We're just trying to combine everything that we have been discussing in this video. Okay? So that's how your diagram will look like. Now, it's time for one more round of prepositional phrases acting as adjectives. Okay? In the sentence, we have the bluebirds in the trees above my house were chirping. Okay? So, again, we just have to look for the subject and the verb. Subject, in this case, is birds. And our verb is were chirping. So, the is placed below the subject as an article. Blue as a modifier is placed below the word birds, our subject. And then we have in the trees above my house. So we have two sets of prepositional phrases here. Okay, in the trees above my house. So we just have to start with the first preposition. Our first prepositional phrase is in the trees. So we place it under the subject. Okay, in, and then of course the object of preposition trees, and then of course underneath it is the article. And then in the trees, okay, describe the birds, because what's in the trees, it's the birds. However, above my house, describe the trees, because what's above my house, it's the trees, not the birds, right? So we place another slanted line, okay, on the word trees, because that's what it describes. We place the preposition above, object of preposition house, and we include underneath it the possessive pronoun my. Okay, I know it looks complicated, but it's the same, again, the same principle. Another example. The hairy dog sat in the corner of the room. Okay, our subject is the dog and our verb is sat. That's very simple, right? We have the article the, and of course hairy is an adjective that describes the subject dog. And then the hairy dog sat in the corner of the room. So we have again two prepositional phrases. The dog sat in the corner. That's our first preposition. So we place our preposition is slanted line, and the object of the preposition corner in horizontal line, and of course the article the. Now, which corner? It's the corner of the room. Okay, so of the room is describing the preposition in the corner. So we have to make another slanted line to write or to include the preposition of, and then the object of preposition room, and then another slanted line for the article the. Okay, I want you to try writing or doing on your own these two sentences and making a sentence diagram out of these two sentences. Okay, don't worry, this will be very easy. I'm sure you can handle it. So the first sentence is the rusty shovel with the blue handle sat in my garage. And the second sentence is these three puppies in the basket on the wood floor have been whimpering since this morning. So I know these are quite long sentences, but that's the challenge, right? So yeah, that's the end of our lesson on sentence diagramming. Let me know if you want to have the second part of sentence diagramming, or if you would like to go for syntax structures. Let me know in the comment section below. So thank you so much for watching. Once again, it's me, Mary B, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.